Oh, welcome the Atwell clan on this Sunday night. Again, we talked beforehand just a little bit. I know Josh from wrestling meets and stuff, but I don't know you real well. Would you each want to introduce yourself and just a little bit about how you got into coaching?
Sure. You start.
So I'm Taylor Atwell. I got into coaching because of them. I also got into wrestling because of them. But after high school, I didn't want to compete in college, but I still wanted to be involved. And then Josh got the opportunity to coach, and I just kind of tagged along there, and it worked out really, really well. And I I look at it as like I prefer coaching over competing, kind of at this point.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
I'm
So,
enjoying it. Yeah.
yeah. So, Josh Atwell, I've been at Boone now for 5 years, coached for 3 years. Um, I got into coaching way before that, right after high school. I graduated in 2000, coached with this guy at junior high level for a couple years. And then I went off and had some different adventures at Iowa Central, and he continued to coach over at Perry. Eventually became head coach at Panorama High School for 4 years.
Hmm.
Came back and just volunteered, coached with him whenever I could, stuff like that. Had some different stops along the way when I got into teaching. Comet or the Cardinal Comets down there, I helped out with their program, just volunteering, running little kids. Um, and then I've been all over. I was over at Coon Rapids Bayard for 5 years, assistant coach with Dave Means, head coach for 1 year. Then me and my wife started having kids, and so I really wanted to be there. So I stepped away from coaching for about 3 or 4 years, and then the opportunity arose here. It's more my wife's idea than my idea. I just honestly think she was probably sick of having me around, and so she's like, the girls are old enough now. You can go get back into coaching. She was my first call when I got the girls' job, and was like, okay, let's get you your authorization and let's start building this. And then this year, um, he retired, and so I was like, hey, I got a lot of new girls. There's only two of us. We got a growing program, down at the junior high, at the kids level, all this other. I could use another set of eyes and someone, and he's a lot calmer now than what he used to be when he was coaching me. So I was like, come on in. Yeah, so I'm excited to bring him in this year, and him start getting his experience at coaching girls. So I'll let him kind of tell his story. It goes back way before me. So
Yep.
Well, about 55 years ago from right now, I started wrestling because I didn't make the basketball team in seventh grade. And I lost every match, but I knew I was getting better because I took them longer to pin me. So, but, and then I started coaching my sophomore year in high school. We had a little in town program that they would have two of us high school players, or high school wrestlers, work with 10 boys, and we had 6 teams. And that was my first experience. We had 5 weeks of Kids Inc. And that's where he started actually in Kids Inc. And I was coaching. And I just continued to coach, except for the 2 years in junior college, I didn't coach. And and then up here in Iowa, when we moved up here in '92, my oldest boy went into middle school, and there was a coach there named Bill Mueller, and he told me about how you could get certified as a volunteer coach. And I went and took the classes, and that's where it started. And eventually, I became a paid coach at Perry, and then became head coach at Panorama. And then I quit coaching in
9, I think, isn't it?
2010. And then I just helped 1 year at Bear Creek as a volunteer, and then I didn't coach for a while, and now he's got me back as a volunteer again. And so yeah, and I don't want to get paid. I love the sport, and but I am going to have to learn how to coach young ladies. So
Mhm.
and
Probably
that's
in a good place for that. Well, you said
yeah.
you had a lot of junior high experience, right? You guys were together in junior high as coach. A lot of times I take back, especially the new girls, junior high level kind of is that beginning level for the girls too. A lot of them haven't started until freshmen. I've had a lot of juniors come out,
Yeah.
and so you kind of have to coach at that level. So,
Yep.
um, Uh,
We have,
Taylor said something that really interested me in that um, you didn't want to compete in college.
Yeah.
And are you still in college? Are you going for?
Yeah. So the biggest reason was what I'm going for. I'm animal science with a triple minor, business, biology, chemistry,
so
with
smart.
the hopes of getting my master's in business and then vet school. So wrestling on top of all of that, like I love the sport, but I was, I had my time with it and stuff, and I just really wanted to focus on what I wanted to move on to. Another big thing is I was not very good at freestyle whatsoever. Um, I never really did any mat returns in folk style as is, and I would go to camps and practices. I just couldn't really catch on as well. I've really just fallen in love with folk style, and so I've always stayed in it and everything. But yeah, it's just more my education. I needed to put more time towards that. So
I could
yeah,
probably help you on how to get by without doing anything. I'm really
yeah.
good at that, but
Don't worry, I got that mastered
you
too.
got that master too. So here's my question with that. From we all of us love the sport of wrestling. Is it more satisfying to coach or to be an athlete?
I'd say it's a more satisfying to coach because not only do I get to like be physical and work with the girls in the room, but it's also like their success. Like I feel it more than when I felt my own success.
Hmm.
It's just great seeing like the light bulb go off and their spark to really start to fly and stuff. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I would. Yeah. I'm a competitor through and through, but your definition of competition changes when you get into coaching. It's not always about it's not really about the wins. It's more about just development and watching those athletes just grow as people. I when I first got into coaching, I was focused on winning, 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 and then as I've developed and kind of gotten through and you realize that you're truly winning when you run into them 20 years down the road
Yep.
and you see how great of a human and how their life has even surpassed maybe your life and your achievements and those things and how wrestling hopefully played a part in that and the lessons they learned in the room from you
Yeah, that's
help them get past something.
probably something your dad can really, relate to more than, I mean, I'm starting to see it. I'm getting some people come back and then I get to see those things and it's, wow, that's really cool. What are some of the cool stories over the years, you've had to have some really good ones of people coming back and you're like, wow, I can't believe they went from this kid in the room to they're this now.
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I have young men that wrestle for me that are police officers. Uh, one became like I did an electrical technician. I mean, and these weren't necessarily the kids that won all the time. These are the kids that won half their matches and lost half their matches, but they never quit. That was the thing that was that seems to be the key that they got stick to itness. They're not going to quit on their goals, and that's what wrestling. I think one of the main things that wrestling teaches, is to finish what you started.
Yeah. And I can speak to he probably doesn't remember everybody he's coached over the years. Some of them are
I
still
don't
my favorite.
remember.
Yeah, I'm starting to forget some of them too. But he's got part of his legacy you talked about. I know there's coaches at other schools that wrestled for him and that were on my team. I know that Jim Hogan down in Perry, still volunteering, but he was a coach for many, many years. Coached with him in junior high as well. Did a lot of things. There's one over at West Central. I can't even think of his name.
there's
Oh,
Mike
Nate.
Peterson too.
Mike Peterson.
Nate Craig.
That was her dad's real good friend.
Nate
Corey
Craig.
Myers,
Yeah,
Nate
Corey.
Craig.
Yeah.
And he had several wrestlers. Let me brag on him a little
Yeah.
bit. He had
That's all
several
right.
wrestlers that started in high school that went on to compete at the next level in college. Maybe they didn't win national titles or get all the accolades, but it takes you wrestle in college.
Yeah.
It's an insane amount of courage to go to that next level,
Yeah.
and it's
And
tough.
I was happy to get any wins in college,
Yeah,
let alone
everyone,
national wins. Just any win was fine. Uh,
absolutely.
I'm sure there's been a change since the times that you got to coach Josh and the way he was as an athlete is now as a coach, and the dynamic I'm sure has changed. Um, what do you think? What are some of the differences from coaching son to now getting to get a be set, in the seat with your son?
Well, for one thing, I'm amazed at how much he's advanced the skills of wrestling that I gave him, and even improved upon the basics that I taught him. Um, and he would he was one of the most argumentative wrestlers I ever had. I'd say, "Don't do a Granby," and he'd do a Granby anyway. And I mean, just things like that, because I could tell what he was going to do. And now he's very disciplined in the way he teaches the girls. And I'm just I'm amazed how he's grown as a coaching. And I think coaching's helped him in his philosophy about life and how to teach the young men and young women that he teaches in school.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and I see those things transfer down to my granddaughter, and to my other grandchildren that wrestle. So
And
yeah.
now that's a whole different dynamic. And we've talked at the convention, and having three generations on one coaching staff is amazing. It's really cool, and hopefully more of that happens. But what's it like to have your granddaughter in the room with you coaching?
Oh, it's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
It really is. It kind of chokes me up a little bit to see, and like I said, like Gable said, wrestling changes you, and it's changed these young women some. I see that, and yeah, I just can't describe it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
great to have her here and to have him coaching. I mean, I now learn from them. I
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell you this has been a dream for me since I got done competing wrestling, was to coach with family. Getting her last year, I can remember I just had the memory come up on Facebook of when we sat down for the first time in the corner, and I grabbed a quick little picture, and I was just like, this is a really cool moment, top 5 wrestling moment for me. And it's going to be even neater. This next Thursday is our first meet. It's going to be really
Oh
cool
yeah.
to actually see it in action, and those types of things. I'll probably, like he says, he gets choked up about it. That I'll probably have to fight back a little bit of that when we get going. Things like that. It's just gonna be really cool.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on coaching with Grandpa and your uncle?
There, it's really nice having those mentors and stuff, and like it just feels like I'm, still 6 years old in the living room. But it's also at the same time, it's babysitting a bunch of old men a little bit, so
Yeah.
which is fun and everything. It's I get to beat up on them a little bit some and all that fun stuff. But it's also like when being the only female in the coaching too, when stuff arises, I'm like, hey, this is real girl problems. We got to listen to
Uh-huh.
this stuff, and so it's kind of nice to be able to put that aspect in there as well. And it's also when it does come to coaching certain moves, um, obviously females and males, we have pressure in different areas and stuff. So like we've all
Yep.
learned that, like, through me wrestling, when Grandpa first started coaching me, and I think you were trying to teach me a mat return, and he's like, why can't you pick her up and throw her? And I was like, I'm
Uh-huh.
trying.
Yep.
And so we've all kind of learned that way through each other and everything. But no, it really is lots of fun and stuff. And we have lots of fun, and it's nice to have the familiar faces in the room no matter what's going on. So
Oh yeah. And
yeah.
now and I have a female coach in my room because I recognized right away the it's really nice to have that in the room. But what have you learned from having not just granddaughter, niece, but female coach in the room? What has she taught you guys?
Oh man. Number one, our nutrition plan that we use is a plan that she used her senior year that really helped out. I mean, girls are just different. I mean, they're just different. Their flexibility in their shoulders and in their hips is unreal. I don't know how they bend that way
Mhm.
sometimes. I mean, I've seen more of girls fighting off their back and then wind up on top with the other girl on their back. I mean, I don't even see that much at the little kid level,
No.
some things. And it's just wild. And philosophies on, what position to pick on a coin flip, things like that. You know, I'm a down guy. I teach my girls, listen, you make the decision, because if you look at me, I'm instinctively going to point down. It's just
Yeah.
the way I am. It's programmed. I can't change it.
I
So
think I would have said that
really
years ago too. I would have
yeah,
definitely said down, but I've lost enough matches now picking down that I'm not stupid. I'll I
yeah,
learn.
yeah. Well, and it's just the girls, I tell them, I want thinkers out there. I'm not trying to make you me. We're not trying to make you Taylor. Same with him. Like, we want to teach you wrestling, and wrestling is you adapt it to your own style. And so I got a lot of girls now that just they'll instinctively pick top, or on their
Mhm.
feet, more or less. I was, to this day, I can tell you, right, I would choose down, and I'm going to do a knee slide to a stand up. I mean, that's just going to be, and if you mat return me, it's going to be, we're just going to get in a competition of who's more stubborn to get to their feet. That's just
Yeah.
the way it was ingrained into me for 20 some years. So it's got to be that way. I've learned, and I've learned, what's funny is as I've gotten older and calmed down, and I know he's calmed down, sometimes I got to pull her back and be like, hey, like, reel it in. We can't, this is a first year wrestler. Like, they're going to make those mistakes, and they're going to, but cause she's an ultimate competitor too, believe it or not. She gets really in there, and sometimes she gets a little more fired up than I do. But I've learned so much from her just on, well, number one is like the med bag, things that need to go be in the med bag. I never
Yep.
would have thought of. She hit me up
Yeah.
right away and says, hey, we need to get all these things, have this kit prepared, all this, and things like that. I mean, it's just a different perspective that she brings from, growing up and doing those things. I never even would have crossed my mind.
Yeah.
So
So I'm going to go back, 1989 is my year I graduated high school. And we had a couple girls go out. I'm not proud of this fact. We had a couple girls out, and our coach said, make them quit. Now I'm going to go to Doug and say, what would you have thought in the early years of coaching? I'd say like late 80s, early 90s. Did you ever think we'd see girls wrestling and 3,500 girls wrestling in the state of Iowa?
No, no way. No way. I occasionally you'd find a girl that would go out, and I mean that was very occasionally, but no way did I ever think that it would catch on like this. And I think it's only going to continue to grow. I mean, much more. And I think it's good for the not only the girls program, it's good for the boys program too.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
I think that a lot of those boys that were lightweights, first year wrestlers, they if they competed against a girl and lost to her, it some of those guys quit because they lost to a girl, and that wasn't good for them. And the girls couldn't compete against as well against the boys. I think it's excellent that this has happened, and it's part of the reason I'm coaching. I want to support it. I want to see it grow. You know,
Yeah.
uh, so I got a lot of granddaughters besides grandsons
yeah,
coming up.
I got two young daughters, Piper and Margot. 5 and 3. Pretty soon going to be 6 and 4. They love being around it. I love bringing them to practice. The girls love them coming to practice. Showing them strong women that are doing hard things. That's really
Yeah.
cool to see,
Yeah.
and then it's just neat. It's just neat all around.
And then those girls don't even realize how your daughters are looking up to them, and it's such a cool dynamic in girls wrestling. It really is. And I've watched that since it's been 10 years now. I think the first time I coached a girl, it might be 11 now. I can't remember when I started, but I know my coach was always upset with girls wrestling, or didn't want girls wrestling because uh, Title IX was screwing up wrestling. People were dropping programs left and right, and now Title IX has actually worked, and they're
Yeah.
growing. The sport of wrestling is starting to finally grow through having women in the sport. And the only reason that it got back in the Olympic talk was because it's gender equity.
Yeah.
There's now both sides. So anyone that argues that we don't need women in wrestling is they're not thinking. They're definitely not thinking.
Yeah, I love it because and look what it's doing, not just in the wrestling world and the MMA world and other worlds like that, the jiu-jitsu world. Like, there's all those grappling sports have definitely seen a rise because of the growth of girls wrestling. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been really cool to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the differences that you've found coaching girls instead of boys. And I know your dad hasn't quite, he's only been around it 2 weeks, so we'll maybe check in with him at the end of the season.
With me, and I watch your podcast a lot, so I kind of know, it's that confidence thing. I hear you ask every coach, how do you build their confidence? $1 million question. And I pondered on that as I've listened to it on my drive and stuff and to school every morning. And I'm like, you just got to break it down and make it simple. I mean, this sport is simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
I have the girls see this all the time. I'm constantly saying the next point. The only thing that matters is, your effort and your attitude towards the next point. And they get that. Well, I've got to try every position. I've got to go after everything, with 100% effort, with a great attitude. I got scored on. That's over. I can't dwell on that because, with boys, when I was coaching boys over at Coon and stuff, and I taught a lot of the same thing: never quit, never give up, don't give in, 100% effort. They just, for some reason, I don't know if it's fake or not, but they're kind of proud, so they're willing to fight all the time, And I'm not saying girls aren't, but it just seems like sometimes they get so overwhelmed with, oh my gosh, I'm on my back now. How do I get out of here? How do I fight off of it? And, I saw that last year with a lot of our girls. They grew. We weren't getting beat in those positions anymore in year 2. We were fighting through them. And even if we were getting beat, we weren't quitting. We were continuing to fight through and get improvement. And it's a long season. Like it's a long if you lose to a girl in the beginning of the year, it might just be because she has another year of experience on you.
Yep.
Or it might be that maybe she's just that much stronger than you at the beginning of the year. Well, you're going to get stronger. You're going to improve. This is a process. You can't measure yourself by the first couple matches because, as he said, he didn't win a lot of matches his first year. I didn't win a lot of matches my first year, and I'm pretty sure she didn't win much either. So
I did not either. So
yeah. I mean, that's a pretty normal thing. And so I always tell my new girls that come out, I've had girls get overwhelmed in practice, and I go over and they kind of have that panic attack and that breakdown. I'm like, hey, collect yourself, jump back in when you're ready. And then the next day I'm like, hey, let's get a little bit farther in practice, a little bit. And before you know it, they're completing the practice. They're getting through it. They might be losing it a little bit while they're wrestling, but that's fine. I don't care if you cry. I don't care if you get upset and those things when you're wrestling. Just keep wrestling. Just keep moving. The only way to learn to deal with it is to go through it. And so, I break it down to that next point. That's the only thing that matters during that time is making that next score, because that's all you have control over in that moment. And there's going to be a time in your life, all you have control over is that day, those types of things. So
Taylor, I'm guessing with your academic list of everything that you're doing, you might be somewhat of a perfectionist.
A little bit. Yep.
A little bit. And I've had a lot of really good wrestlers on my team over the years, and every single one of those girls have been somewhat of a perfectionist. But I've also seen that wanting to be a perfectionist in this sport of wrestling to their detriment, because they're not handling the loss well because they shouldn't have lost.
Yes.
You understand this, especially probably more as a coach than you did as an athlete.
Yeah.
How are you helping your girls get through that?
A lot of it is we walk away, we sit down, we just talk. I was the type of person where I would get emotional after a match, even if I won, because I just didn't know what to do with my feelings, with my adrenaline, everything. And a lot of times that's what happens with the girls. They'll walk off and they'll be like, you know what? I know exactly what went wrong in that match and why I lost. And I was like, okay, then what are we going to do to fix it? And that's a big thing is like when we say we chop it up and we simplify things, it's kind of like that is they see a loss as this like huge mountain to climb. But most of the time it is one little mistake or, oh, they did a move that, maybe we haven't gone over. Let's spend a little bit extra time.
Yep.
You run in it with girls too that, I was guilty of it is, oh, I have this move down. Let me just stop drilling this one and move on. And I'm now really focused on the basics of like everything you do stems off of the basics. So, maybe you're not getting a certain takedown. Well, let's just go back to a single double leg and everything. Like just go back to that stuff and then we'll get there. Sometimes having to restart and reclimb the stairs helps out a lot. But really it's just talking to them like I'm equal to them
Mm-hmm.
helps a lot. A lot of girls, I struggled with it too, is like having that person of authority. It's hard to open up and be able to like see inside yourself, which I think being able to have those conversations helps them a lot, I'd say. So,
Yeah, I just had a conversation. Um, three Iowa Lakes girls, and then it's just now three Nyack girls. One of the questions I asked them, um, when it comes to coaching boys, and you guys can probably, I think you probably will say the same thing. Coaching boys, I needed to earn their respect. They needed to know that I was a good wrestler in that room and that I could teach them something and they're going to learn something from me. Every time I've coached a new girl, I feel like I need to earn her trust.
Mhm.
What do you guys think about that?
I would say, yeah, definitely trust, and they need to know that if you're being hard on them, it's coming from a place of care, a place of
Hmm.
love. It's not personal; it's business. Um, and they want to belong. I like
mhm.
boys sometimes want to be that like lone wolf kind of that I want to be top dog, whatever. Like
Hmm.
the girls want to be a group. They want to be together. They want to, and that's another area she's helped out a ton. That's a different dynamic. She'll come to me be like, "Hey, we need to do this team building activity. Hey,
Mhm.
we need to do this. I've got some team building activities, but with guys, team building sometimes is beating each other up.
No, ours
Yeah.
is stand. Let's
Yeah,
write
yeah,
affirmations
like
and go
those
watch a
things. Yeah,
movie.
absolutely. Like it's like because I also grew up like we had six kids in the family. We had five boys, one girl. So like bonding time was wrestling matches in the
Yep.
living room. Couches got
Yeah.
broken, holes in walls. So it's a different dynamic. I'm starting to understand it now that I'm a girl dad, and those things that sometimes you got to sit down and play pretty princess and things like
Hmm.
that. So, but yeah, that's another area. Yeah, they want to belong and they want it to come from a place of care and definitely. And so I can remember that first year when I took over, there was a lot of, I'd look at a girl, but you trust me? Like I'm
Mhm.
trying to, make you better. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to let you see the process. I have learned two girls ask a lot more of why. Why
Yeah.
do we need to do this? Like sometimes boys you just be like, hey, go move that pile of rocks over to that area. They'll just go do it. They're not going to
Yeah.
think as to why. But girls want that. Why do I need to know this? What's the reason? So you got to come with that as well as when you coach and be able to explain. Listen, the reason you need to put your hand here is because your opponent might do this, and that gives you the ability to counteract this and those things. So I feel like they're playing chess a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt.
I was just going to say a story that just happened this last Wednesday night at practice. There was a girl that was doing a move and she wasn't quite getting it right. And I just showed her a couple of things to do to make the move correct. And as soon as she got it down and we got done, it was after practice and we're rolling mats. And these two are standing over there in the corner. And as soon as she gets it down, all of a sudden she starts crying. And I look over at Josh and Taylor and I'm like,
Like,
what did I do? What did I do wrong?
No.
And she goes, oh, you're just it's just so nice of you to take the time to show me how to do it right. And I'm like, that's what I'm here for. But she, I just wasn't ready for her emotion that she felt
Yep.
like that I took extra time out for her.
Yeah.
And I never had a boy ever do that to me. And it really for a second took me back. I mean, I was, but then I understood that for me to take that time, she thought this was really great, that you took that extra time that really wasn't practice time and did that.
Yeah.
And so I'm fine. I'm starting to learn,
Yeah.
beginning to.
He doesn't have a lot of experience raising girls either. So.
You are going to experience it's the craziest things. I coached since 1999 is when I got my coaching authorization. So I've coached a number of years now too. Um, I don't ever recall shedding a tear during a boys match ever.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, first wins. That's one of the greatest things ever. Big win. Somebody gets the move right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Man,
Yeah.
it's end of the year. It's just all kinds of things. I don't know if it's just getting to be an old softie or what, but man, the emotions just are. It's such a difference. It's the sport is completely different because of the emotion.
no,
In my opinion, and it's
100%.
in my opinion also a lot better because of the emotion.
Yeah, I talked to Dustin Rowland at a freestyle tournament this last summer. We were both just like, man, it's crazy how much the girls you coach become your girls. Like they're
Yep.
almost like daughters, and it's the connection that you get with them and things, and it's just and we both. I was like, yep, I understand all of that. Like you said, like the drive to win, and yeah, seeing a girl get their first win. Last year we had a senior come out, first sport ever,
Oh,
and she takes fourth at regionals.
I
We're
had to leave the
we're
room.
a couple moves from being at the state tournament in her first year
Yeah.
ever, and it was just watching her grow. And there was even a point at that Ogden tournament we dropped her back down to JV for a little bit so she could read she kind of fallen down those stairs like she talked
Yep.
about, start at step one again, and just seeing that growth, and it was amazing. And I can remember, yeah, she was
I
bawling,
went up
and
to Josh and I was like, I need to get out. I
yeah,
was
she
like,
was
I need to get
bawling,
out.
which makes me feel the emotion even more. And I'm trying to stay composed as
Yep.
we still got wrestlebacks to wrestle.
Mhm,
So yeah, you learn how to control your emotions, but also show them because the girls want to see them.
mhm.
Yep.
They want to know you're a human being. So
That's definitely what the showing the emotion is the biggest thing. When I was wrestling with the boys, I never once cried in practice. I never once, like, if I was going to cry after a match, I went and hid. Like, I didn't show emotion because it's kind of like what you had said, you have to earn their respect.
Uh,
Being the female in the room, I had to earn their respect. They didn't go soft on me, and but when I was on the girls team, it was like, oh, you're crying, well, okay, let's all hug each other and cry together, and
yeah.
do that type of stuff. And it really is like the same thing with the girls. And they are kind of like all their daughters, but to me, it's like I'm their big sister. And a lot
Hmm.
of them like treat me that way. Definitely my first year, I was just out of high school, and helping out. And I told Josh, I'm like, they don't take me seriously. He was like, well, you guys are so close in age. I was like, no, I'm like a big sister. I'm like, I just, it's really weird because like I want to be friends with them, but I'm not supposed to be friends with them. And so like that's a big thing I've had to learn of like I'm still in like a professional position, but it's also
Hmm.
like I'm gonna sit and listen to whatever. If you have friend group problems or whatever, I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna listen to you. And a lot of times that's all they need is just someone that listens. But like that's also part of what like makes it so emotional is because you get such like a strong bond with these girls. And like also I see myself within them as in like I was there not that long ago. And like you
Yep.
guys are getting to the spots where I was getting, and like I know what I felt in that moment, and so I could only imagine, kind of like that.
Well, yeah. What you just said is, I mean, it's so important to have you in that room and girls like you and more coming back because there's not one of those girls that want to be the fat old guy that I am, right? I mean, no, not one of them do, so, but they can see themselves in you, and that's why it's important. And
Yeah.
I see more and more coming back and coaching, and it's really heartwarming because I don't know
Mhm.
how much
that's
longer I don't know how much longer I got in me, but you
no.
know,
I went
well,
and helped out at AAU State, and all the amount of girl referees,
mhm.
female referees, and all that was amazing to see. I started put together an alumni list, and I send out, hey, become an official if you want. I've had Avery Sondel's gotten her coaching endorsement now, coaches junior high, and I'm helping her develop her as a coach because I really my goal here is eventually, there are always some selfish things with coaching and being a
Oh yeah,
competitor. You
yep,
want to win and you want to do all these and have win coaches of the years and those things and state trophies. But in all honesty, what would be the coolest thing is watch the girls that I'm coaching come back and take this over and take it to a higher level. That would
yeah.
be the biggest compliment that could ever happen.
I'm gonna go off of the Avery Sundal. The Boone has had a tradition in girls wrestling. I mean,
Mhm.
it's not. Jordan Overton did a great job for the years that he was in there. Anna Sundal, Avery didn't start, I don't think, till her senior year.
Yep.
If I remember it, because they wanted her. I know her mom well, and she wanted to have them to have their own separate things, being twins, and she
Yeah.
didn't want her to be in wrestling too.
Right.
Um, and I keep telling Anna that she's coming to coach at Ridgeview anyway. She would look much better in orange and black than red and green anyway. But you've had some good names: the Sundals, Rory Cook, uh, Lily. What was Lily's last name again?
Lily Leininger.
Reiniger. I mean, there's just been some really solid girls there. What are you doing now? What's the build? You're in year three, so you're starting to get your room going there, your standards, your culture. What's the culture of the Boone room?
Um, you know, when I got this job, I sat down and I really thought about it, and I was like, we're going to be pretty light this year on numbers, which we wound up with like 11. I think being a teacher in the school definitely helps. It's definitely helped a ton. That's always a big thing. When he was coaching at Panorama, he went out and hired an assistant coach that was in the school because
Yep.
he wasn't. That's always a big thing. But I sat down and I thought, I put together like a 5-year plan. I want a full lineup in 5 years because I figured eventually we'd wind up with duels and a dual tournament, those types of things. And having a full team is huge in high school. That helps a lot. At least you're competing at every weight and not just giving
Yep.
away points.
Yep.
And so, the culture's been, we're going to come in, we're going to work hard. We're going to be in control of the controllables, our effort, our attitude, how much sleep we get, being on top of grades, those types of things. I put some pretty high expectations on the girls as far as academics. I do grade checks about every 2 weeks with them. Because being a season that goes between a reporting period is
Yep.
huge, that stuff. So I put that in there, and I want to be a 3.5 GPA average or above, every year. And I've had girls that have been killing it at that, and we've won the Girls Union Distinguished Awards both years, and we have been so close to an all-state team from the Wrestling Coaches and Officials Association, and we just needed that one more weight class filled, and we could have got it because you have to divide by 14 there.
Yep.
And it's just been so close every year. And I've told them this year I won it because our program from the time it was sanctioned to now has grown by 250%, which
Wow.
is, amazing. I got to give props to my girls because I put a challenge on them after that first year to go find other girls. There's more girls in this school that can do this. And they have, I got a girl, Brooklyn Elliott, has recruited like crazy. I don't know what she plans on doing. I kind of know what she plans on doing with her future, but if there's a college program out there that needs a recruiter, you should probably be looking at Brooklyn because she's brought in a ton of girls. And then starting that junior high program, getting Avery in there, it was a little rushed. We didn't get as much development with the girls as we wanted, but I looked at her and said, hey, make it fun, teach them a little bit, get up, just keep them out. And, we got 4 or 5 freshmen this year from there, which is going to be huge. We got one of them placed to AAU State last year in the tournament. She's been wrestling for a while. Excuse me. We've got, but our culture is, let's build this. Let's control what we can control, focus on what we can focus on, and let's just have a lot of fun and focus on the process. Like that's what you really got to fall in love with. Everybody wants to win. Everybody can't win, and let's stop worrying about the winning and losing, and let's take care of the effort. And when we take care of that, it's going to fall where it's going to fall, and you're going to be able to live with, you're always going to be able to live with giving 100% to somebody, to something. And whatever the results are, you're never going to regret it. Like I never achieved my ultimate goals in wrestling of winning a state title or wrestling at a national tournament or that, but I know where I stand, and I know, I know I can compete with some really high talent, and I can live with that because I gave it everything I could.
Yeah, we've been around long enough to know that that regret is not a fun thing to live with. So, it's just not. What's coming back this year? I know Poppy's probably she's been around forever. I think she's probably 25, 26 years old by now, it seems like.
So we got 2 seniors. We got Cadence Hagen coming back off of an outstanding year. We went and took runner up at 190 last year in 2A. She's starting off strong. She's moving great. She's really, I've really put a challenge on her this year to show these girls that pathway. And she's definitely a rise into that. We have our other senior is Michaela Silball. She qualified last year, made the blood round. We lost her for, we were 16th seed. We had a real tough first match, but we went out there, we did the best we could, come back that next round, and we beat the 9 seed, and we beat them handedly. She looked real good. And then we got into that blood round and we competed. We just got beat by someone with a little more experience. So, we got a good, and she had to do it the hard way. She had to do it through a wrestle back and things, which was great for them to see that pathway and be like, listen, just because you might lose in that semifinal round at regionals, it ain't over. If you win out, you still got a shot. We got a good group of juniors coming back. We've got Poppy Malone. She had a great year. She's been a 2-time qualifier. She took 7th place last year. Getting a match back from our regional final, which was awesome. I love that we had that regional, tough of a regional, and we're seeing those people in those placing matches. Then we've got we get back a girl that was injured last year that actually just broke into the rankings right after Christmas break, but tore her knee up, had to sit out. Brooklyn Elliott that I talked about. We have a third place regional coming back, and Gracie Vodnik. She really peaked at the right time last year and wrestled great, and we got some great things going there. So I'm really excited to see her to continue to develop and maybe get that next step. I know she's put some pretty high goals on herself this year. And then who else is junior? I'm drawing. Whenever you're thinking about it,
you've done way better than I ever did.
Yeah,
I don't remember names very well, so it takes.
So I know we have a couple new juniors that have come out, which again, it takes an insane amount of courage to come out for wrestling. Avery Strollo is coming back, a returner. That was the first year she had to be in a varsity lineup, so she had a steep learning curve. JoJo's a sophomore. And then we have a good group of sophomores too. Actually, I think that's our biggest group is our sophomore group. We got a bunch of new girls in there, but we got a returner, JoJo Meeks that wrestled a lot of varsity last year, super athletic, super fast, very raw. She had to step in and wrestle some matches that were probably above her skill level,
She takes it. She takes it like a champ.
Yeah, she does it like a champ. Talk about a great attitude. We got Abby Molitor coming back. She wrestled JV pretty much all year last year, first-year girl. But she's been wrestling all year, going over to Dwight Henson's club. She's been wrestling. She's coming in. She's been – I really enjoy the way she wrestles. Just put it that way. I practiced with her a little bit. She likes fighting with the head. She's pretty strong, explosive. We've got Claire.
Yep.
Claire's another junior. She had to step in at that 170 spot as a first-year wrestler. So she took some lumps last year, but she has
such a good attitude.
Yeah, she's a fantastic
She's just
person.
like you look at her and she's always smiling, no matter what's going on.
And this year, she's great. We've got a lot. We've got freshmen coming in. Like I mentioned, we got a freshman that plays to AAU State. I know Abby plays to AAU State. She went and wrestled at the Cedar Valley tournament. Yep. And they did good. Emerson Zehner's coming back. She took third last year.
I think so. Yeah.
She took third at regionals as a first-year wrestler. She went down to Florida. I know Cadence went to Florida. We had a lot of girls wrestle the AAU circuit a little bit this year, which was amazing. We've definitely had a lot more off-season work than what we have, but we've got a lot of other freshmen coming in. We've got some exciting, tough, aggressive new girls that just really raw. And when they get developed throughout that year, they may break in. It looks like if our descent plans go as they are, and everybody stays healthy, we could have a full lineup come our conference tournament, which is cool because the Raccoon River's never had a conference tournament. Having a full lineup at a tournament like that could be, it'd be pretty cool to put that trophy or that plaque or whatever it is as the first one ever in our trophy case. If that's how it works out, so it's pretty exciting. I've enjoyed building a schedule we have 11 duels, I believe, this year. So I like an odd number. So you're either a winning team or or a losing team. You get that definite. You're not a 500 team. You're one or the other. So I'm pretty excited about it to see where it goes. There's a lot of talent. I mean, a lot of talent, but talent only gets you so far. You know
Yep.
this.
Yeah.
You got to put in the work too. So
Yeah. And you guys put on a heck of a duel, not a duel, a heck of an individual tournament. I really like coming down to yours, and it's gotten tougher each year.
yep, I'm
And
trying to make it. Dalton Moreland's a huge help in that. He runs our track wrestling and all that other
mhm.
stuff. Yeah, we just got kind of lucky that one day, that my first year. There's a weird weather year. You reached out, and I was like, "Yeah, bring him
Yeah.
down. Let's go." And he's been back
I,
every year, and I appreciate
I
that.
always told Jordan I was going to come down to his tournament, and I never could get down there. Something else was closer that, and
Yeah,
then it was actually an AD screw up. Didn't get me scheduled for Fort Dodge, which is only a half hour for me.
right,
And
right.
then then I was
I,
like, well,
you know
I'm
what?
going to Boone.
I'm thankful for that AD
I
because I love having you down here.
No, I love coming down. That's one of my favorite tournaments to come to.
I like
I do
promoting that
like it.
Central Iowa wrestling. I grew up
Yep.
and I always took a lot of pride that I was from Central Iowa, and I like that little rivalry. The East Side's better at wrestling than the
Uh-huh.
Central. And like I like that stuff. I love those little rivalries, and because I wrestled all over the state, and I lost to some East Side of the state guys, but I beat a lot of those East Side state guys too. So I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I'm way on the west side, so we really hear the
Yeah.
east side's way better than us and stuff. So I do like I even go over to Vinton Shellsburg now just to see how we fare.
Yep.
But
Yep.
so uh middle school you've mentioned, you got Avery Sundell there. Good group this year again.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think right on the first registration we had 7, 8, something like that. I'm sure those numbers will pick up as we get
Yeah.
going. I had her put together a highlight video from last year that maybe we can put out there and promote and do those things. That's why he's here too, because Avery, I had a old college buddy of mine just happened to be coaching at Greene County's middle school girls. They only had like one or two girls, but he was at a meet and he goes, "Man, she was overwhelmed." So I jumped in and helped her, and you know, you know what it's like when you're coaching.
Yeah.
You've got about 50,000 tabs open, and you're
Yep.
trying to keep them all straight. And so I told him when we get this junior high schedule on those meets, we will probably, if they don't line up, if we can handle it, you're going to go down and help her coach on that.
No problem.
You know, we're
And
gonna
that's
all that stuff. It's been great.
one of my favorite Boone stories. You talk about a coach jumping in. Uh, I think it was Anna's senior year, maybe it was her junior. Hurt her knee, and came back and placed right.
Right, right.
No,
Yeah.
that
Um,
was her senior, I want to
I
say.
think it was their senior year.
so I mean, I'm down at my wrestle. I have a wrestling room in the basement. I'm down here, and Anna's been here multiple times, and I have pictures of her on the wall. She hurts her knee. I think Avery's comes to find me to tape her knee. I actually taping Anna's knee to get out onto that next match. I missed one of my own wrestlers' matches, but that's how it was. Everybody knew everybody.
Oh yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
but I had another coach there. It wasn't like they were fine, but
Right.
I always look back at stories like that, where we were at, where we've
Mhm.
come. I hope we don't ever lose that
Right.
on the girls' side, that it's okay to go help somebody else out. That
Right.
never had
Right.
that would have never done that on the boys' side.
Oh
Not
no.
one, not a chance. Not a
No,
chance.
it's been really really cool. I saw you on a podcast. I don't, man, it had to be years ago before it was even sanctioned. Just talking about, I don't remember who all you were with, but you were just talking about girls wrestling and the way it started. And I got some of that experience with her and her dad coaching and going to watch her at AEU and do some local tournaments and wrestling at the boys. And so, but yeah, I got a lot of respect for people like you that have been promoting and building this sport, and I absolutely love it. And yeah, like you said earlier, when I was in high school, I never thought this was going to be a thing, and
No,
it has been one of my favorite things to ever happen in my time in wrestling.
I think the first time I really knew it was starting, um, Ames had World Team Trials, early 2000s, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Somewhere in
probably.
there, 4 or 5, 2004 or 5. And so my father-in-law got me tickets, National Cyclone Club member or whatever. So I'm in the second row, right in the middle, two mats, one's guys Greco and one's women's wrestling. And I couldn't keep my eyes off of watching the just like it is now. There's so much more scoring. There's so much more going on. And I was like, wow, that was really cool. I even called the Cumberland's coach after that and said, how do I do this? I got daughters. You know,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
daughters, my youngest one was a manager. She never wanted to wrestle. The oldest one tried, didn't like wrestling boys, you know,
yeah.
but that's how it was. Uh, Youth club. You guys have a heck of a youth club going on. What do you got
Yeah.
for numbers down there? Did you?
I know Tom Crowden just posted on the thing, and they had something like 20 some girls. I know he's been working hard at it, doing those things. You know, I'm really trying to this year get it set up that hopefully some of my high school girls can take advantage of the opportunity to go in and volunteer maybe for one night a week or do whatever. Really develop those connections because, you know, it's hard to see it when you're in high school, but those girls, I mean, they almost if you're a high school athlete and you're a little
Hmm.
kid, it's just like they're just something special about it. Seeing that, I remember giving back to the Perry Kids program, the Junior J program. I a lot of times it was just because we use the same room, and I just be on the
That's what
bike,
mine was.
Yep.
getting an extra workout in. But then they'd be like, hey, and they just say something, and I always love jumping in and getting there and just seeing those kids. And I mean, you talk about it's kind of like when you get a guest speaker in your classroom, everybody's eyes are just glued to them, and they're
Hmm.
just kind of because it's someone different. And so I'm really kind of hoping I can get some of that going. You know, it's hard with how busy girls are. A lot of kids got to work now,
Yeah.
and then we got the academic, and my girls are involved in
Everything.
everything, which
Yeah.
I
I don't know
absolutely
how
am
many
so
I've
proud of.
missed. I think I've had 4 or 5 missed because we had to be at the play, you know, or
Yep.
miss practices, but that's part of it. It's part of the time we start too.
Orchestra and
Yep.
and all these other things and yeah, the play this year didn't go as deep into the season, but I'm a big advocate of multi-sport athletes. I'm a
Yep.
big advocate of being involved. I got one of my managers has been an FCCLA finalist, national finalist for multiple
Hmm.
years now, and so that's all amazing stuff that I'm just like, listen, like you've got potential here. Look at everything you balance. Like you're going to be fine. You're going to be way better off than I ever
Oh
was.
yeah.
Like
Oh,
balancing all this stuff.
I
So
usually tell them what I did so they know what not to do.
yeah, right. Don't follow me because you're going to be 10 years
I've
behind where you need to be.
yeah,
So,
and you're not gonna you're gonna hate being poor all your life. So
yeah,
you should really work harder than that.
yeah.
Um, you know, you had your dad as a coach. But who are some of the coaches that maybe Doug, who are your coaches that inspired you to be a coach and that helped you along?
You asking me?
Yep.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I came from a town that wasn't a wrestling town. It was a big football town. And outside of my eighth grade year, I never had anything but football coaches that never wrestled were my coaches. As a matter of fact, we bought Bobby Douglas's takedown book, and when I was a team captain and a high school coach, you go, "Do you think we could teach this move?" Great football coaches and great conditioning coaches. I mean that we were great conditioning, and they were very good coaches, but they weren't wrestling coaches. But my eighth grade year, we had a man move in named Dan Crookham, and he had wrestled down in Oklahoma, and he went on to be a high school coach at Lawton, Oklahoma, and won a few state titles down there. But he taught me a lot. But we just didn't have football coaches, or we didn't have wrestling coaches. But I will tell you, um, um, Phil Tuttle was one of our assistant coaches, and he did a lot for us. He was really good at getting us lifting and getting us in shape. But honestly, it was tough. Then I had, if you remember Myron Roderick, the head Oklahoma State coach, his uh, his brother-in-law, Daryl Nelson, was my junior college coach, and he did a lot to help me. I learned an awful lot from him. He was kind of amazed that I did so well with so little. But the deal is, it didn't need a whole lot. And but yeah, I those are the guys that I just especially remember Crookham coming in there my eighth grade year, and then getting hired away to be the head coach at Lawton, Oklahoma. Uh, and this would have been 72, something like that. But he probably I started winning when he came, And after I won one, I was like, "Ooh, this is so much better than losing." So, yeah, that was. But I definitely enjoyed my football coaches. I mean, we just you want to know who started wrestling in Liberal? The head football coach started it for his linemen that weren't basketball players. He went wrestling for his linemen, and he didn't know a thing about it. But they started in 1968. They started wrestling in Liberal, Kansas. So yeah.
It's not this week's, but the following week, I got an interview with Wade Chalice. And I don't know, Wade Chalice he's the all-time pin leader in the NCAA, and he's got a story that he talks about the beginnings of wrestling, and it's actually very similar to the football coach wanting to do that. So I'll tease that ahead, so someone's got to watch that, or actually I tease it behind so they can go back and watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's if you know Wade at all, the guy's a little eccentric, but he's fun.
We all are. Every
Yeah.
wrestler's a
Oh yeah.
little eccentric.
Yes. How about
No.
you, Josh? Did you have you had a great coach and dad, but did you have some other ones that really
Oh yeah.
helped you
I
out?
mean, the list of coaches is unreal. Bill Mueller was a great coach at junior high. He really, he wasn't intense in junior high. It was all about, just learning. It was all about learning and learning and learning. And he had a really gentle way of doing it, but and he could get you fired up if he needed to, but it was just so laid back, and it was just like, hey, let's just keep getting better every day. So Bill Miller was a big one. Um, I only had him for 1 year, but Leon Fox down there in Perry, he took over a wrestling program because he just didn't want to see it go away. Never wrestled in his life. Some things I took from him was intensity. You talk about a guy that was intense, man. He could just crank it up, and he great conditioning, those types of things. And then I had Larry Deerdorf as a coach, and Bob Gittens, and of course my dad was a coaching staff when I was there. I learned a lot of technique and stuff. I learned a lot of organizational stuff from Larry Deerdorf. You talk about he was my sixth grade or fifth or sixth grade math teacher, so numbers were his world, and I kind of used his lettering. I stole his lettering system, how I do it, those types of things. Then in college, I had Troy Bennett, Luke Moffitt, were great coaches to have up at Iowa Central. And then when I went to Central, I had Eric Van Clay, Matt Deal. Um, uh, I can't remember. We just called him P-Tax. He was an All-American from Purdue, came in for a year, and just all the coaches. And then Kevin Donahue, he was a three-time All-American at Cornell over in Mount Vernon. He's back in Virginia now, but he taught me so much, just technical and
That's
all
your
that
friend,
other stuff.
Kevin?
Yep,
He coached me a
my
lot.
friend Kevin, and he's been involved in all this. He's been all over the place, and he's back out in Virginia. But I had all those people, and I've taken just little bits from them all. This one, I got my obsession or passion for wrestling, I guess you could call it. I was the type of kid, we'd get off a tournament and we'd talk the whole way home about, what went well, what didn't go well, how we could get better, how we could just gain another inch, those types of things. Um, you know, there's so many coaches, it's unreal. And then there's been other people I've pulled stuff from that I've coached with, Dave Means, some other coaches, AAU coaches, Davidson, Wes Bohm, Wes Creason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been pretty blessed in the number of coaches that I've had come in, and all the experiences. This wrestling's taken me coast to coast, put me in wrestling rooms that I'd never thought I'd even step foot in. Um, I got to interact with, Iowa coaches when I was on the national team back in the late 90s and things like that. And I can't even remember who they all. Of course, you remember the Dan Gable. If he walks in the room, he was.
Yeah.
You're afraid if he was going to talk to you. So, but the Brands brothers, people like that, and they didn't spend a lot of time on me because but I was there. I got to just observe. I got to listen and pull. And of course, I'm always watching all the other coaches, talking to coaches like you, talking,
Yeah.
watching anything Cale Sanderson puts out and talks about with his mental
Yeah.
mindset. Like I'm watching it, and I've probably watched it 10 times, taking notes, that type
Yeah.
of stuff. So
The internet's great, man. You can pick up so much stuff. I've been doing that all year long. I honestly, we haven't wrestled a lot of live at all yet this year. I mean, a couple of minutes a day is all I've done, but I've just been compiling all these different drills and stuff. And
absolutely.
some of them, they're like, "Why are we doing this?" And I said, "Because I like it." That's it. That's the only
There's that
reason.
why again. Like I said, they're always why. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
So I
I
love it.
got one. I'm going to share it with you because it's my favorite drill, and maybe you'll use it. You like a hip heist drill. I'm going to give you it's I call it baby bear, baby crab, baby seal. So baby
Mhm.
bear, you're in a quad pod. Baby
Mhm.
crab, you're and then in baby seal, you're back to a sprawl position. And I've had like officials look at me like I'm crazy because I teach the girls if they hit a hip, we baby seal. And I will
Right.
yell baby seal in the middle of the match. And they're like, "What are you talking about?" But it's our lingo, right? And the reason I like the drill so much is because if you say it fast, it's really fun to talk. It's say it, baby
Yeah.
bear, baby crab, baby seal. So I'll do it for like longer than I should, but just because I like to do it.
You got to find that little bit of joy somewhere, man.
Yes, that's right. So Taylor, how about you? You've Perry was your start.
Yeah,
Who'd y'all
there's
have?
a lot. So I first started in middle school. I actually played basketball, and well, I joined in seventh grade with a week left, and I had Corey Myers actually was my coach, and I wrestled a match, lost so bad I was rewarded with a Dr. Pepper afterwards. Um, and then after that it was just me and my dad. And so eighth grade decided I wanted to try basketball out. And so we just did AAU stuff with my dad. I'd go to junior J. That's where, it was Sean Welch, Mike Peterson, JP, Danny Splendor, a lot of those guys and stuff. Yeah. And then high school came in, and, no matter what, I was like, my dad was always there. But then I had Mark Weber, Jackson Van Kirk got involved at that moment. That was also Eric Mormon. We call him Gunther. Yeah, so that, I mean, all those guys and everything. But with on the boys team, no matter what, like they all made me feel a part of it. But like when it was me and focused on me, it was me and my dad. And then that's when it switched to when Chris Dardanes came into the room. He was getting Lauren Louise in there all the time. We'd do camp. She'd come in and coach us here and there. And Chris was one of the first ones that like truly bought in with us girls. He was one of those that like the second he saw us, he was just obsessed. He was like, I prefer to coach you girls over the guys. And there'd be times where he would, choose, oh gosh, there was a really big boys tournament, might have been conference. And it was the same day as our girls' is state. And he skipped their conference to come to our state, and the boys were not happy. And he was like, I don't care. He was like, I'm going to go coach the girls at state. In that year, that was probably my year where I really started to buy into wrestling, was just from who I was around and everything. And, no matter what, like Mike Peterson was there. I wrestled with his daughter, Haley. From the beginning, we were like, we go to tournaments and be only us two. So we'd wrestle each other 3 times and, broke her finger. She pinned me, back and forth all the time. Mulder as well, a little bit here and there, definitely when I first started out. But yeah, like JP was there all the time. He was the one that, taught me my crossface cradle. It was my favorite thing. He taught me my Turk, loved my Turk from JP. Jackson Van Kirk was the type that like, if I'm conditioning, he's conditioning. He's like, I'm doing it with you. I'm right here. But yeah, so, I mean, I had a lot of people. And then my senior year is where, Josh Moore, who was our school SRO, he knew nothing. Like, I mean, that sounds bad, but like he did know stuff, but like he, didn't wrestle as long and stuff. And he was the type that he would send me TikToks, and he was like, should we do this drill? Do you think the girls would like to learn this? And I'm like, yeah. So that's kind of where I fell in love with coaching a little bit, is like, yes, I was a senior, but I was team captain. I was allowed to like help out and everything. And, when you're a senior and you're one of the girls in the room that's been doing it longer with a bit more of, chip on your shoulder, you're going to be a bit more cocky in those situations. And he taught me, he was like, that does not matter. And, I'd go with the newer girls. And that's one thing that makes me really proud is now I look back at, Julie Malem right now is wrestling at Wartburg. Mercedes Ponce went and she like placed at state and everything. The Erickson girls, like those were ones that like, they were brand new when I was finishing. And like, it's nice to be able to see that I, kind of help pave the way for them a little bit. I even still talk to them and they're like, well, since you always want to do your cross-face cradle, now I know to not get in those and, so on. And then I also had TJ Malem as well. And he was kind of the one that really helped with like the intensity a little bit, but he was also the type to keep it very lighthearted too. Always joking around everything. And then Mike Peterson was just always my rock, no matter where I was. And then my dad was, we would like, I was the type that like Thanksgiving, you're practicing. Christmas, you're practicing. Like it doesn't holidays don't matter. In the Atwell family, we, before we all go have lunch and stuff, we're going to go practice.
The wrestling match breaking out during the
meal. Yeah. And so my dad was always every single, time that I was like, I want to put in extra work and this and that, like he was like, okay, let's do it. And, at that point I started to get the girls involved. And then it was, like, oh, who cares if it's a Saturday morning? Let's go practice. And even if we, not productive, we got in the room, we moved around, this is our time to kind of just get jitters out and stuff. Like, I mean, a lot of people involved in my whole thing, but it's also like, I went to ISI one year and I had Felicity Taylor as my dual coach. And that was like the coolest thing ever to me. And like, that's the thing too, is like, I look at it as like, I help pave the way, but then there's the girls in front of me too, like Ella Schmidt too. She is one of like, she was my biggest inspiration throughout high school. And just like so on. So it's really cool to see like the girls that I looked up to, even the little girls now look up to them as well. Yep. And I can look back at girls that I helped coach in junior J and they're starting to be, really successful and everything. We still like, it's, I come back to town and it's like, we're, all the same people. And, Sean Welch and Danny Splendor helped drag my car out of a ditch in the middle of a winter storm. Like I can always call back on those people. And that's one thing that's very important to me in wrestling is like, no matter where you go, you're always family. I can call them at midnight and be like, hey, I need help. And they're like, okay, on my way, which is really nice.
I'm going to tell you my Felicity story. The only reason she's where she's at right now is this one time at AAU State, she didn't have a coach and I was in her corner for about 30 seconds. So I really think that's why Felicity made the world team this year.
There you go.
That 30 or so seconds I coached her. I didn't even do anything. It was like a 30-second tech fall. Those girls are so much fun they were around when I first started, and it's cool to see all that. Man, you haven't been wrestling very long and you have a list of coaches and people that have helped you. And that's, you're right. It's just a big, huge family and we're all helping each other out. Mm-hmm. I'm going to throw some kind of fun questions at you. We've been doing this a little while, so I don't want to get too crazy into these, but because I have some really fun ones, not fun ones, some ones that I want to hit, but food's super important and for wrestlers. Let's start with our guilty pleasure food. I'll throw mine as ice cream. I could eat it every meal. It should just be meal. There should be ice cream meal. But what's some guilty pleasure foods?
I'm with you. Ice cream it is. I don't really care. Usually a malt. If I can get a malt, maybe some Reese's in it, some Oreo, whatever it is. Like, yeah, I would back when I was cutting weight, my mom used to take me for these remember when McDonald's sold the little tiny shakes? They weren't really a malt, but like they were like $1 or something. That was I'd go help her clean the dance studio or whatever. And she always told me if I miss weight, those go away. So I trust me, I was running, helping her clean that thing because I wanted that little shake. That was it. Ice cream.
What was yours?
Oh, chocolate ice cream.
Yeah.
I guess I have two. Oreos, was it like a big thing? My senior year when we did like a senior gift exchange or whatever, or like a wrestling gift exchange, I got 4 packs of family size Oreos and they were gone before states. But my other thing would be steak. I was big on steak. The amount of videos my parents have of me, like I get home from practice and I have my nice big steak, like it was gone in 10 minutes. So that was definitely my favorite thing.
What's the big place in Boone to go out? Or is Perry maybe which place? Where are we going to go
Well,
out in Perry and
Perry's
where are we
fun.
going out in Boone?
yeah.
Where's the
So yeah, because I don't live in Boone, but I like Jimmy's. It's on Main Street.
That one's
It's a
good.
barbecue or that type of stuff. It's
Mhm.
really super good. There's a couple other good restaurants. I can't remember the name of the one right now. I could picture it, but I don't remember what it
There's
is.
La Coretta.
Um,
That one's really good.
yeah, La Coretta's.
Oh,
If you like,
I've heard about that one even.
Oh,
yeah,
it's
it's
good.
good. So that's kind of Boone. I can't remember the other one. It's a grill, something I can't remember what
I
it's
have no
called, but
clue.
it's pretty solid too. I've been out there once. Perry.
There's Toby Case.
Oh yeah, Toby K's. Yeah. Oh man. If you want Christmas decoration or race stuff, Toby K's, solid burgers, good food out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Perry's Casa. For me, Burger King.
Tin
I
Tin
love
Pig. Don't listen to him. Tin Pig and Perry's are really awesome. They got a brewery and stuff. So if you're looking for a place to eat in
Oh,
Perry,
Lou's Diner.
Lou's Diner,
Oh.
breakfast food, Lou's Diner. Yeah.
There was one tournament my junior year we were going to go to, and it got canceled after all of us had shown up to the school and gotten on the bus. So all of us went to Lou's Diner. I've never eaten more hash browns in my entire
Yeah,
life.
it's your old school diner. It's got a round,
Mhm.
kind
That's
of a
awesome.
round a bar that you can sit at or whatever, or counter, and then all the cooking and everything takes place in the middle, and they walk around to each table, and it's pretty cool. You're gonna smell like breakfast food when you go there, though.
Which is not a bad thing. Definitely
No,
not a bad thing.
so
Uh, so I've kind of figured out people are either mountain people or beach people. Where's your dream vacation?
you start.
Oh, mountains definitely. I've went on week-long hikes up in the mountains, living out of a backpack. So yeah.
I've become more of a mountain person as I've gotten a little older and a little heavier. I don't like sweating as much. So let's go out where it's a little cooler, a little drier. So I'm more mountain.
I'm 100% beach, but I'm also like a big history nerd. So like anywhere I can go to museums and stuff, love it. But when we went to Clear Lake, Florida, oh, I love Clear Lake, Florida. It's my favorite.
Yeah. I'm with you on the Florida. I'm a beach person.
Yeah.
I'll be the big old beach whale. I don't care if I'm fat and
Yeah.
sweating.
Well, the crab too, like just the seafood.
That
Oh,
you could get me with seafood. So
We better find out what your favorite wrestling shoe of all time is.
mine's a Rudis.
You're a Rudis person?
Yeah, yeah. I don't remember the ones I have. They're like the K ones.
Oh, Kyle Snyder ones, I bet.
I think
KS
so.
on them?
Yes. Yeah, I got those ones, and the first day I bought them, Lauren Louise signed them, and I've yet to wear a different pair.
I don't. I'll be honest with you, and I've seen you ask this question because I listen to your podcast or I've heard you ask it. I don't really care. Like I just don't. And I think that partly comes from what he used to tell me. We'd be at remember when they used to have vendors everywhere at every tournament and all that? I love that the girls tournament, like the regional and the state, has that vendor. I usually go buy a shirt just for nostalgia.
No.
But I can remember I always wanted fancy shoes. Growing up with a bunch of siblings, there was no money, so you got whatever was on sale, which was usually not the cool ones. So he always told me, he goes, "You win a state title, I'll get you the coolest shoes you want." And I think a pair I always wanted was Gables or something like that, but I don't think I ever got any. I don't really like. Honestly, I still wear the crappy old shoes. My favorite pair, I've blown out the side of them. I'll still put them on every once in a while. To me, shoes are just shoes. I've never been a big like, oh, I think those are really cool, type. But whatever I can wear on my feet when I wrestle.
There you go. Gotcha.
My junior year, they came out with shoes from Australia that were made out of kangaroo hide,
No kidding.
and they when you sweat them, they got really ugly, but you just couldn't wear them out. I mean, you couldn't wear them, and I got them, and I always bought the cheapest, and they were having a promotional sale on them, and the shoes were so tough that I had them for a long time. I mean, they were just tough, and they just didn't wear out, and they were made out of kangaroo hide. But yet, when you sweat, they just look terrible. And those shoes won state. The kid that was our state champion my junior year, he was a senior. He borrowed those shoes from me when I didn't qualify, and he won state that year. And in my wrestling shoes.
There you go.
I don't remember the brand. I just remember I got them from Spalding. Sporting's Good, because he was having a promotional. So trying to get rid of them because nobody wanted them. And I bought
It's
a
got to be
pair.
the shoes. There's a whole wasn't that a Nike thing for a while? It's got to be the shoes.
I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah, something like
There
that.
you go. NFHS rules. There's been a lot of changes recently. Let's start with, do we like the 3-point takedown, 4-point, 3-point, 2-point
You
near
like
fall?
to-
I like them. I'm just jealous. I wish I had that. I do like them, and I agree. I think it's a good way to move. But like when I first heard it, I was like, you have to be joking. I was like, if I would have gotten 1 year with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like the takedown. I like the scoring system. Of course, I coming in so early, I see all the statistics and all the records and all the stuff for girls. When I first started, my first year, we got our first ever tech fall, and that was it. That's all that had ever been in the history of Boone girls wrestling, as far as on the girls' side. I don't know. I don't have all the statistics from when they wrestled with the boys, but we had 7 last year, which was amazing. I love seeing the tech falls in the first 2 periods, maybe even the first period, because it's a big advantage to get a takedown. It's not a 5-point move anymore. It's a 7-point move. But I also love how you can get caught up really, really fast. Okay, so you got taken down, you got put on your back. Cadence was an example of that in the finals. We gave up 7 points, but we battled our way back in, and we were really one big move away from tying it up, at the end or from winning. So I really like the ability to get way out in front or to catch up really quick. So it makes it a little more exciting for us as coaches and fans, and it helps the kids, helps the girls see the light, and it's not over till it's over. So
Well, I think that anything that helps wrestling be a more spectator sport and advances wrestling, which I think the 3-point takedown does, especially. I'm all in favor of that, and I think the 4-point back too. Also, it just helps promote and makes it more, makes the spectators get into it more. We need to have those spectators. I wish sometimes we had a little more scoring on throws, to encourage throws, but that's not so much in the girls wrestling, but I just think that throws, when people go, that from a throw, it's really exciting,
The only thing I don't like is now we can't yell 2.
Yeah.
I know. You don't know how many times I did.
I do it too. It's just
all
like
the time.
2 to 3.
2 or 3 or something.
It's score. There we go. Score.
How many times did I looked up? I don't know how many times last year and went, oh my God, I'm that far behind.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
There was a match at Ogden tournament last year that a girl came back, put a girl on her back, got the 4, and I'm like, all right, we're tied up. We're going to overtime. And the Osage coach, what's his name?
Nick.
Yeah, Nick goes, no, man, you won. You scored 4. And I was like, oh yeah. I was like, oh yeah. Like, because it just, we've wrestled under those rules for so long. It's just so hard to get them out of there.
So is there something you'd change about the wrestling rules right now as they stand?
I don't think so.
I know what I would change, and I would change this for boys and girls. After I wrestled in college, and I really do like riding time. I really like rewarding that top person for dominating on top. You know what I mean? I know it's probably never going to make its way into high school. I just like it because as a guy that wrestled in college from 27 to 30, I lost my speed at about 29. So I had to get really good on top. And so I really, I really enjoy that. And I think it would help put an emphasis on getting out from under people. If there was that, hey, the time is ticking. I got to get out of here, that's just a thing and I know that I don't hear very many people like that rule. I love it. I love riding time. I like the reward, I like when you look up and you're like, oh man, they're getting an extra point at the end of the match because they were just so dominant in one position. And, so it just adds a new dynamic and a new thing to it. Cause sometimes that riding time point comes in real important in real tight matches.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I wasn't a good rider, so so
I wasn't at first. I had to become one because once I got a hold of people, I couldn't let them go. When you're wrestling a 21-year-old and you're 30,
mm,
you're not letting them get out from bottom. So
that's kind of cool that you went back and wrestled. Did you? Because I don't know how many times I've heard somebody say, "Well, if I would have known what I know now, going back and wrestling, I would have been so much better." Do you think that's true?
um yeah,
Did,
yeah.
did
I
you?
mean, you just get so much trickier when you get
Uh,
older, it's and you just learn. I'm sure you've had it in your room where you're like, just reach down for it's going to be there. Unless you tore it
uh-huh.
off, that leg is going to be there. That the
Yeah.
mechanics of the body, it has to be. You just learn that stuff. It kind of gets more cemented, and I was never truly off. I was always coaching. I was always doing other things, training in other ways. So it was just kind of an easy transition to get right back into it. Um, at 30, it was definitely different than at 21. Let's
I
put it
bet so. I bet so. Any other rule changes we can think of?
I don't think so. I'm really glad we got rid of the hair caps.
Oh
Like,
yeah. I was
thank
so
goodness.
mad though. I bought 10 brand new hair caps the year they changed it.
Oh,
I was like, I'm getting one. I got them on sale, and I'm like, I'm going to give everybody a brand new one. They were
Yes.
white. I never saw white ones before. Usually they're
that's
black.
true. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
so excited, and then no more.
Oh,
I don't
there's a
even know.
big, that made me think of a big difference between girls and guys. I have to put in fix your hair time in practice because
Yeah.
they'll be, and it's like redo it, put it back in a
Mhm.
ponytail or something
Mhm.
like that. That's never a thing that ever happened at a guy's practice was, hey, fix your hair quick. So,
I carry hair ties.
Yep.
yeah,
I carry hair ties.
Yeah, I,
we,
I go over to when the girls are doing it, I go over beside them and I pretend like I'm putting my hair
yeah,
up.
no, but
I
I
don't.
was at every tournament. I got a hair tie on a wrist or something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I got it in the
They,
pocket.
they go, oh, come on, Grandpa.
Yeah,
Yeah, the girls call him
yeah,
Grandpa
he's
because
grandpa now.
he's out well. I'm Taylor. So they're like, what do we call him? I was like, Doug or Grandpa. So they just walk around saying Grandpa.
I just tell them, if you ever need our attention, just yell Coach Atwell. We're all
Yep.
three gonna live. So,
Somebody's gonna say, "Oh yeah."
yeah,
I
yeah.
like how you. So I do honestly like the fact that you just said that you're Taylor, and a little more. I did that a long time ago too. It's just Coach Troy. I don't care to call me Troy. There's so many. I've been in so many places where if you don't say Coach whatever or Mister this, it's like my mom and dad named me that. I don't feel it's disrespectful.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we just it wasn't anything like on purpose. It just kind
It
of
just kind of fits.
fell in that way
Yeah.
Everyone's,
because
yeah.
and they'll still yell out Josh or things like that if they can't
Yeah.
because
I don't really
it's
care.
just they got to have a way for us to hear them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
We're
I
all,
already heard Taylor say that freestyle was not your deal.
no.
I
What's your
like
thoughts? You like freestyle. What's your thoughts for the girls? I mean, what's your thoughts? Do you think it'll ever happen?
I really hope so. I think it'd be so awesome. I will say, like, I probably, if college was folk style when I was getting into it, like, I would have 100% gone. But it was, I mean, and really, like, with it being freestyle, though, I think it also ups, like, the competition side of it, too, you know?
Mhm.
Because, like I said, like, I was pretty decent and good at folk style, but I was horrible at freestyle. Like, it you can't have anyone and everyone compete in college. College is meant to be competitive and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I think, I mean, it'd be nice, but I don't know if it's necessarily feasible.
yeah. Do I ever see it happening at the high school level? Maybe, but it'd be a long time off. I mean, I think,
Yeah.
because you got coaches that, need to be proficient at it, your officials, you got to have multiple officials at every mat. You got to have there's just so many logistics to it that it would be I think it would be a detriment to the growth of the sport to rush it. That's one thing I'm thankful that Iowa's done with girls wrestling, period, is not rushed into it. They've definitely
Mhm.
made sure everything's in place to make it a great experience for the athlete. I loved freestyle personally. It kind of fit my style better. Like I was terrible at Greco. I got a younger brother that was good at Greco. I didn't like Greco because I like leg attacks and I like all that other stuff. And I like the ability to roll and lock hands. And so what I would see happening sooner would be like the altered rules that they use at some of the AAU stuff, things like
the
that.
modified.
Yep, the modified rules, and then eventually way down. And I'm talking probably when we're not coaching anymore, it becoming freestyle. Yeah, it just I think it would hurt the sport if we did it too soon.
Yeah, I like the modified rules. I really do.
I don't mind
I
it.
think it works out well.
They're,
I like a step out, so that's I
yeah,
like that step
I
out
love
point.
that rule. I think with the new out of bounds rules, the step out rule, there's still so much wrestling that can happen on the edge of a mat, with your foot in and your hand in, like in college. That was one of I'm so glad that I went to college during a time when that happened versus the 2 feet in or 2 supports in or whatever. I really, because that, to me, that feels like that quadrupled the area of wrestling,
Oh
So,
yeah, you get an extra 5 or 6 feet around the mat.
oh yeah,
you're still wrestling. It's
and as long as your person's not off the mat touching the floor, you can get a fall out there.
yeah.
I really, it makes me reflect on my time, the growth from high school to now of just the amount of wrestling that happens, during the whole 6 minutes or 7 minutes or whatever.
Well, you probably won't remember, but I know your dad will remember. We started on the outside of the circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to advance in, and
Yep.
Yeah, there were still some of those mats around when I was a kid and stuff. And I remember that's when I learned that. It's like, why are the red and green?
Like a boxing ring?
Yeah, no, it was on the
No.
big little 10-foot circle.
Yeah.
There was a red and green on the outside of it, and you had to start there. Yeah,
so
there was
you were
lines
like 10 feet apart.
But back then, that wasn't the way freestyle was. Though freestyle was just like now. Here, you started
just
right
facing
close
each
to
other. Yep.
Close to each other. Because I would go down into Oklahoma and freestyle in the spring, and what was really cool about then? I wish they did now. Back before they had those freestyle, right before the freestyle tournament, there'd be a college kid or something like that. There, a couple of college guys putting on a clinic, a little clinic for everybody that went to. And that was so. I wish I would have wrote down some of those guys' names because some of them were big Oklahoma State wrestlers, and one of them was a Greco. He took third in Greco in 1968. That's really dating me, but I'm talking about. I was at a tournament, and he showed some stuff, freestyle stuff, because he also freestyle. And they said, "Hey, that guy took third in the '68 Olympics, Greco." And I was like, "Wow, really?"
Yeah,
so, and I don't remember his name, who he was, but it was just so neat that those guys would take time to come out to those freestyle tournaments and do that for people,
Yeah, I remember almost all the freestyle tournaments I've ever been to. They had that's a long time ago.
There were a lot when I was doing freestyle my junior and senior.
It just doesn't seem like I see it anymore, and that's too bad.
How long has it been since you've been to a freestyle tournament?
I'll tell you,
I made the mistake of doing an Iowa State
the summer games
when I was 40.
That was my first freestyle tournament. He decided to wrestle, and he ran into like a returning national champ and like some other All-American and got just tossed.
The guy was sitting there to toss me, and I whispered in his ear, I said, "Don't." I said, "You're already ahead by 11 points. Don't toss me."
That was great.
And he did. He decided not to toss me.
I had a similar when I went to we went over to the tournament in Fremont, Nebraska, and some of the guys that I knew, the kid I coached in high school wrestled at Dana. When it switched to Midland, he went to Midland. Then he's coaching in Schuyler, Nebraska. And I said, "Hey, I'll go to this tournament. You go too. We'll be the only two." We knew the coaches. They'll put us in a bracket. I signed up, paid my $20. He didn't show up. I said, "Screw it, throw me in." And there's a picture of me getting dake bombed, and my daughter's watching, and she takes the picture. And every year I get this picture from her. You died a little inside that day. Every year.
Yep. You should have been there when he tech followed me. Had mercy on me. Tech followed me. I came over to the side of the mat, and my boys were just terrible. They were like, "What, Dad? How come you didn't do that?"
Like, you got to remember, up until that point, he was like
Yeah.
way up here in our
Unstoppable.
wrestling world, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, okay, yeah. And then that was my first freestyle tournament. I remember that it was at the Iowa State University Fieldhouse or whatever it was, and yeah, I wound up. That's where I was like, whoa, I really like this freestyle stuff. I really like being able to score that quick and do that. I guess if I was to make a change, one thing I love about freestyle, I like when I did it, we had that 5 minute period. It was just start,
Mhm.
go
Yep.
5 minutes. I loved that. I
You
thought
wrestled
that
straight for
straight for
minutes.
5 minutes. Yeah, look at her just being like,
They come up with some crazy rules though for freestyle. Remember when
yeah,
they
and
used
then,
to they had the bag that you had to pick the ball out, and
yeah,
that's how like overtime they had a little bag, and you'd pick out like a red or a blue, and that's who got the You started with a high with a single leg
yep,
between your
yep,
legs, like you're in practice. That was like I don't know 2 or 3 years worth of it,
yeah. And then
and
you had the clinch for a while. You
yes,
had the
yeah,
2 periods that were just two different matches. I mean, it was just all the crazy rules. But I
yeah.
loved the 5 minute period because I had a great gas tank and just I don't know. I just really liked that. I loved it. Wish I would have had the push out rule then though.
Yes.
But I do like that.
So you're
You know.
getting Taylor's getting his wrestling history at
Yeah.
Oh,
the
This is hey, this is what you get when you get three generations. We're talking about
Yep.
stuff. She looks at us like we're crazy.
yeah.
So
Oh,
it's great.
I got just a couple questions left, and these will be easy, I promise. Um, school started. This is a fill in the blank. Wrestling has taught me to blank.
Go ahead.
I'd say slow down.
Yeah.
That's one thing like with me is like I kind of show it with the girls a little bit too. But wrestling makes me kind of slow down and take more time. When I'm in class, I'm focusing on class. I'm not, what am I going to do later today? Who am I going to hang out with? It's just slow down, get what you need to get done so we can focus when we need to focus. Definitely with all of my college work and stuff. We'll have girls come, they're like, I have this really big assignment. And I was like, well, I have 30. So, like
It'll be
I know
okay.
you can get it done if I can get it done. So
Mhm.
I'd say slow down is a big one for me.
Um, I don't the rest. Oh, there's so many things it's taught me, but I'd say the biggest thing is probably just keep showing up. I mean, good days, bad days. Um, it really doesn't matter what type of day it is. Just show up and give your best effort. Your best effort might be half of what it was the day before, but it just as long as you just keep showing up and keep that momentum rolling, um, good things are going to come because hard times and good times will both pass. Um,
Yep.
so that's what it is. Just keep showing up.
Oh, definitely. Show up every day, show up on time every day, give it your best, don't quit. And if your best isn't good enough, figure out how to get better, you know, and, uh, and you'll be okay in life. You'll be a success, at least at whatever you're doing to earn a living in life, you know?
Yeah. I will tell you, I told the girls this the other day. I had a couple moping in practice. I said, I'm going to tell you, when I walk in this room, I don't care how bad my day has been. This is truly the best part of my day is walking in here, and I hope you guys think the same. I'm guessing with this group of people, it probably is your best part of your day every time you step on that wrestling mat.
Yeah, I never want to get paid to teach wrestling again. I want to be able to be a volunteer and something I really love, and
I'll,
that's why I'm here.
I'll pay him
I'm going
in.
to guess they're going to let you do that. Most
Yeah,
You can
yeah,
come to Ridgeview all you want.
trust me.
But he uses me for his demonstration dummy. I think sometimes, why did I do this?
Yeah.
As I'm trying to
I try not to use him too much. This one gets all of that.
Yeah.
So, but I know she's tough enough to take it.
Yeah.
I've
you're
gotten to
doing-
where I have to use the girls because I can't. My knees are killing me anymore. So
I'm starting to feel. I remember him telling me about the shuffle. And when you're an old man, you're going to shuffle out of bed
Yep.
in the morning. And I caught myself doing it the other day. I was like, oh no.
yeah,
So,
I walked just like my first 5 or 6 steps out of the chair. I walked just like my dad did. It's like, oh, uh,
time gets us all.
so not the organization, but what do you think wrestle like a girl means? How about
What
you
do you
start,
think?
Taylor?
I'd
Yeah.
say wrestle emotionally. Like I feel like a lot of people think you have to be edgy and like, rough and things like that. Like you need to use your emotions in every single aspect, even if that's, using all your willpower to focus and, get the next point, or if it's just break down and get through it, or you can be insanely upset and, then we'll work on, okay, you can see red, but still do the technique, right? Because that's a lot of what I ran into. So I just say like, there's a lot of aspects in life where you're told that you're too emotional, and in wrestling, it's good to be emotional. I'd say.
Wrestle like a girl, honestly, and I tell the girls all the time, just be yourself. I'm not teaching you to be me. Put your twist to it. And that's what I love about wrestling is there's the basics, but everybody's going to put their own spin to it. I've
Yep.
got moves that I do that are kind of unique to me in the way I do them, and I place my hand. And this is truly a scientific sport. Where everybody's constantly changing it and explain it, and a lot of that has to do with your personality and who you are. Bring that into it. There's always going to be the basics that you need to master, but build on those with what you bring to the table.
Yeah.
So.
And if you would have said this just 10 years ago, it was a derogatory statement. After 2 weeks of coaching it, what do you think?
You know what? I'm gaining a lot of respect for these young ladies. I really am. Um, and and that's really what they are. They're young ladies. They're not girl. They're not girls anymore. They're becoming young women, and they're going to take with them a no quit attitude. I think in life, and I'm gaining a lot of respect. Ask me that at the end of this year, and I'll have a good answer for you.
I will
I'm
ask you
learning.
at the Boone tournament. How about that?
Yeah,
I'll
there you
because
go.
that's about halfway through, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep,
I can't
yep,
remember
right,
when
right
it's.
before Christmas break. Yep.
Yep.
But I am not used to showing someone how to do a move correctly and then have them break down and cry on me and say, "Thank you, coach, for taking time." I'm like, sure, I can do it.
No,
That's why they don't pay me to be here.
I compliment my girls all the time. I say it takes an insane amount of courage to come out for this sport because
Yep.
it's chosen suffering sometimes.
Mhm.
I've
Yeah.
never felt so appreciated, I guess, for showing something right as I was that day when I finally realized why she was crying. So I thought I'd done something terrible wrong.
You did
No,
everything right.
sometimes they
Everything
just
right.
cry. That's their way,
Yeah.
man. It's okay.
Last thing I got, I always leave time for some final thoughts. Does anybody got anything they'd like to just say about wrestling, I guess?
I'm extremely grateful for it. I'm so grateful for that. My wife is like, yeah, I think this is something you should do. You should jump in. You know, uh, I'm grateful that she got an opportunity her last year. I used Avery as an example many a time with the girls and been like, listen, she never got this opportunity, and and I'm so grateful for the growth because it's only 4 years old. Like if you
Yeah.
compare that to my daughter, just basically a preschooler in the
Mhm.
in the sports world. So and the growth and you see it you see it at the state tournament too, man. Every year there's girls that we thought were the peak getting beat by other girls that are coming
Yeah.
in. So the talent and the wrestling and everything is just getting better all the time. Um, so I'm grateful for all the work the girls union puts in. My administration, their belief in me, the parents for trusting us to teach their girls this sport. The parents for helping out.
Yeah.
Like that's just my main thing and I'm just so grateful that it's all happened this way and how much it has helped the sport of wrestling because it's meant a lot to obviously my life
Yep.
and the cool experiences I've had. And I'm hoping some of these girls get better experiences, as good as or better experiences than I ever got with this sport.
Got anything?
That's
No.
better than what I could say.
I can tell you this too. I think it's really cool, Troy, that you've had a lot of Central guys. I'm gonna throw a little plug out there for Central.
Well,
Hale, me.
hell, Adam
love it.
goes down the. Adam's a great guy. And we're actually gonna start some. I'll tell you after we're done with this. But
Okay.
uh,
I think it's
I
pretty cool.
appreciate you guys. This has been
Yeah.
really fun. It was so much fun to get to know all three of you. But I'm gonna go ahead and hit the stop button.
All right.
Okay.